All right, today we're diving into something, well, pretty out there. It's a document that uses the story of a dragon to explain quantum physics. Yeah, you heard that right, dragons and quantum physics. It's not a combination you hear every day, but believe me, the connection it draws is actually pretty profound.
So right from the get-go, this thing reads like a fairy tale, not a science paper. It literally starts with, once upon a time, many, many moons ago, lived the dragons. It's the perfect way to ease you into what turns out to be a really deep, kind of strange story about the nature of reality itself.
And that really brings us to the core question here, right? What in the world can a mythical dragon possibly teach us about the deepest mysteries of the universe? Well, as we're about to find out, a whole lot, actually.
Okay, let's get into Section 1, A Dragon's Descent. And the subtitle here really says it all, a world of anger and greed. This sets the stage for the big problem our story is trying to solve.
So you got to picture this world the old dragons lived in. It was miserable. I mean, all they did was bicker and fight. They hoarded piles of treasure they couldn't even use. The document has this amazing line. It calls them ghosts where nothing could fill them up. They were just consumed by anger and greed, and it totally lost touch with what the story calls the hidden jewel inside.
But, into this mess comes our hero, a young dragon named Zoran. And he is a total square peg in a round hole. I mean, look at this contrast. The old dragons, all about anger and war. Zoran, he's all about kindness and humor. They're obsessed with hoarding. He just wants freedom and fun. He's this complete misfit who chooses inner peace while everyone else is wallowing in misery.
And then comes the moment that changes everything. Soren confronts his father, who's totally obsessed with treasure, and he says this one radical thing. The greatest jewels in the universe lie inside. Boom! That single idea that the real value isn't out there, it's in here, that becomes the guiding principle for his entire life's journey.
Yeah, as you can probably guess, that did not go over well. The Dragon Elders saw his ideas as a fundamental threat to their whole system.
So, what did they do? They kicked him out.
They exiled him. And that act of being cast out is what kicks off this grand adventure for him and the few friends who secretly believed in him.
So that brings us right to Section 2, The Journey Within. And the subtitle says it all, Conquering the Mind in the Mountains of Tibet. This is where Zoran's physical journey really turns into an internal one.
So they go to this remote cave in Tibet, and this is where the real work starts. Zoran teaches his friends how to meditate, and they spend, get this, hundreds of years just practicing. The author even points out that for these powerful dragons, conquering their own minds was way harder than learning how to fly. And through all that work, they finally discovered what's described as the infinite ocean within.
And this is so important. This wasn't just about, finding their zen. No. Through this incredibly deep, centuries-long practice, Zoran uncovers a massive, profound secret about how reality itself actually works. And what was that secret? It's this one single line. You are the universe. You just don't know it. Just let that sink in for a second. That one sentence is the philosophical heart of this entire document. It's this idea that you, me, each of us, we're directly connected to the entire cosmos. Okay, so how do we even begin to unpack that? Well, that's where we get to Section 3, Unlocking the Quantum Realm, and the subtitle is When Mysticism Meets Modern Physics. This is the pivot point where the story starts using actual science to explain Zoran's big mystical breakthrough. To start, the document throws this wild number at us, 1%. That's it. That's how much of the electromagnetic spectrum, the light spectrum, we can actually see. Just 1%. So everything you perceive with your eyes, it's just a sliver, the tiniest little fraction of what's really out there. Kind of makes you wonder what's in the other 99%, doesn't it?
And that leads to this central idea in the document, that our perceived reality is what ancient mystics called Maya, an illusion. Now that doesn't mean nothing is real. It's more like what we see is a radically incomplete picture. It's like watching a movie through a keyhole. There's a whole hidden reality just beyond what our senses can pick up.
So what are the rules of this hidden reality? Well, this is where the author brings in quantum physics. First up is something called superposition, and this is where things get really weird. It's the principle that a tiny particle can literally be in multiple places or multiple states at the exact same time. It's a cloud of possibilities until you observe it. The very act of looking at it forces it to pick one spot. These are the kinds of mind-bending rules of the universe that Zoran was starting to understand.
And it gets weirder.
The next big concept is wave-particle duality. So the fundamental building blocks of everything, they don't have a fixed identity. Sometimes they act like a tiny solid ball, a particle. Other times they act like a spread-out wave of energy. And here's the kicker. How they behave depends on whether or not we're watching them. It's at this level that all our common sense ideas about how the world works just fall apart.
All right, all of this strangeness is leading somewhere, I promise. It brings us to section 4. The universe is entangled. And the subtitle says it all. A web of cosmic connection. This is where we tie all these bizarre quantum ideas back to Zoran's big "we are the universe" moment.
The author does something really cool here. They put this ancient spiritual quote, "The kingdom of heaven is within," right next to one of the most cutting-edge ideas in science. It's this powerful move to suggest that maybe, just maybe, these two very different paths are actually pointing towards the exact same truth.
And that scientific idea is quantum entanglement. Even Einstein had trouble with this one. He called it spooky action at a distance. Here's how it works. You can link two particles together in a special way. Then you can separate them by an inch, a mile, or even across the entire universe. And the moment you measure one, the other one instantly knows and changes its state. Not at the speed of light, but instantly. It's a connection that breaks our rules of space and time.
Now, to be clear, the author isn't saying that you and I are literally quantum entangled particles. That's not the point. The point is to use this mind-blowing scientific reality as a powerful metaphor. This spooky action is a perfect illustration of a deeper spiritual truth, that at some fundamental level, we are all inextricably, mysteriously, and instantly connected.
So that brings us to the final part of the story, Section 5, a new kind of wisdom. Because after you make a discovery like this, you've got a choice to make. What do you do with it? The subtitle is Bringing the Jewel Back to the World.
So, after becoming masters of this new understanding, Zoran and his friends didn't just hide away. They shared their wisdom, and it all boiled down to a few simple yet profound truths. That kindness, love, and compassion are the only way to live, because deep down, we're all connected as one big universe. That your true nature, who you really are, is freedom and joy. And that the greatest adventure you'll ever take is the one inside yourself.
So what's the big takeaway from all this? What does a story about dragons and quantum physics really want us to know? The message is pretty clear. It's that we, just like Zoran, have the power to change our world. But that revolution doesn't start out there with everyone else. It starts right here, by first discovering the incredible universe that exists inside each of us. And that leaves us with one last question to chew on, a really big one. If this story is right, if science and spirituality are really just two different languages trying to describe the same ultimate truth, then it makes you wonder, doesn't it? What jewels are just waiting to be discovered inside of you?